Hello friends, thank you for watching this video. I am Mohamad and today we will continue our weekend coding tips and tricks series where we will discover different features of C#, .NET Entity Framework and go through some different examples and see how we can utilize them in our day-to-day coding. This is episode 3 of the series and today we will gonna be cover the ingredients that we're gonna be utilizing. Then we're gonna go into tuples, what are they and how we can utilize them, as well as value equality for a class. So, as always, you will find the source code in the description down below. Please like, share and subscribe if you like this video. It will really help the channel. What are the ingredients that we're gonna be needing? First, we're gonna be needing Visual Studio Code, which is gonna be our code editor, and we're gonna be utilizing the .NET 5 SDK. You can find the links for them on the screen and on the description down below. The installation process is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is download and follow the simple installation process. Now let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to make sure that our .NET SDK has been installed successfully. In order for us to do that, we're going to be utilizing the .NET -- version for that. So inside our terminal, we're going to type .NET -- version. And as we can see here, I have the latest version of .NET installed, 5.0.301. And this is the latest by the time of recording of this video. If you see any other number, that should be fine. If you see any error, you need to re-download the .NET SDK and reinstall it. So now that we have installed, checked our .NET version, now we need to create our application. And for that, we're going to be utilizing the .NET new keyword. So we're going to be using .NET new console because we're going to be utilizing a console application to demonstrate those features, and then we're going to give it a name and we're going to call it coding tips and tricks episode 3. Great. Now this is going to take a few seconds to be created. Okay, perfect. Now it has been created successfully. Let's navigate to this and let's open it in our code editor. Perfect. The first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening the terminal. So we go to view, terminal, and inside our terminal we're going to run the application to see what we get. So .NET run, and we should see hello world popping up. Great. So now that we have make sure that our application is running as it should be and everything is working, let's jump into tuples. So what are tuples? Tuples are lightweight syntax used to represent data. With tuples, we remove the complexity of having classes and records, and we can define simple data structure with multiple fields using tuples. So let's go have an example of how we can utilize things before tuples and how we can utilize them after tuples. So let's say we have a record car, and this record card has a string of brand and color. So string color. Let's put this inside. So now that we have a record of a car which has a brand and I have a color. So now if I wanna, for example, initialize an object, so all I need to do is, for example, var car1 equal new car. And from here I can put, for example, brand BMW, for example, and the color is black. And this is how I can utilize them. And for example, if I wanna print them out, I need to put console.writeLine, and then I go, for example, car. Let's use string interpolation. And if you don't know what string interpolation is, you can refer to episode 1 of this series where we delve deep more into string interpolation. So let's see here, I want to display the car brand, so I need to put car1.brand, and then here let's put a color, so car1.color. So that's how we usually do it without tuple. We have defined a record, or we can define a class similar like this. So we can call a class, let's call it bus, for example, and inside the class we define the properties, and this property is going to be, for example, string name and another string and let's put, for example, color. And for example, with these I need to do the same thing. I need to declare a new bus, so var bus1 equal new bus equal, for example, let's say, just need to define it like that. So for color it will be white and yellow, so usually buses are yellow. And name, we can give it a school bus. And now, for example, if I want to display them, I can do the same thing. So let's copy this, and here let's make it this car info, and here we'll put bus info, for example. And here, for example, I can put bus1 dot color dot name, and here I can put bus1 dot color. And here, if I can type today. Okay, great. So now let's run this application. I think I have an error somewhere. Something is not happy. Name. Okay. If I can type, yeah. Great. Now let's run this. Now we should see those two information popping up. Perfect. We have car info, BMW black. We have bus info, school bus yellow. That's fine, but just to have these two objects here, we had to create a record, or we had to create a class, and we had to define all of these. But what if we want to do all of this on the fly, and we don't really need to create, we don't really want to create a record or a bus? How can we do that? We can use tuples. So with tuples, what we can do is we can actually create them on the fly. So for example, let's do the same thing for the car. So we can, for example, var car2 equal, and from here all I need to do is I can give it, for example, I can make it a Honda, and then I can make it red. And what happened here? So these variables here, this is called a tuple, where I can put different value inside an object, and this is called an unnamed tuple. Unnamed tuple. Why is it unnamed? Because I can refer to Honda as variable 1 and red is a variable 2. I didn't give them a name. So if I want to refer back to them, all I need to do is, let's do another console dot write line, and I can put, for example, let's use also string interpolation. And for example, what I need to do is I can put car info as we did before, and here if I want to right now to utilize them, I can put car2 dot, as you can see, we have item 1 and item 2 automatically populated for us. And these, because we have not defined the value of them, so because they are taking them in order, so item 1, item 2, item 3. So item 1, and then I can put car2 dot item 2. And now let's run this and see what happens. So now I should see Honda and red added to the list, and as we can see Honda and red has added to the list. Correct. Now let's create a named tuple. So how can we do that? Let's utilize this on the bus. So var bus2 equal, but now I want to use a named tuple. And how do I use it? All I need to do is I put the name before that. So I can put brand, and from here I can put, for example, the bus will give it a name, not a brand. So name, we can call it public transport bus, and the color, let's give it a red. And now let's see how I can refer back to them. So console.writeLine, and here what I can do is I can put bus info similar to the one we did before, and I want to refer back to it, so bus2. And as you can see here from the autocomplete, I can see that I have color and name, because we have gave it a name for the variable instead of it was item 1 and item 2. So I want to give it the name first, and then I want to add another one, which is bus2 dot color, and let's save this. And now let's run it, and we should see the information popping up. Perfect. So now we can see that we have public transport bus and we have the color red added. Great. So let's add a comment here. So this is a named tuple, and here it's not var1, it's item 1 and item 2. I apologize. So as you can see here, we were able to give those tuple directly a name. And let's compare these to the class, for example. So here, for example, for the simple thing of I just wanted to create this value and utilize it here, I had to create a class. I need to create its properties, the getters and the setters and all of that, and then I was able to utilize them. But here on the fly, I was able to directly create a class, to create a tuple. I gave it the names that I wanted, and I can actually utilize them anywhere that I want in my code within that scope of the function that I'm utilizing in, or the method that I'm utilizing in, which is really good. So basically, tuple here allowed me to create data structure on the fly without actually having to create the other complex data structure with the classes or record and so on and so forth. So what else I can do with tuples? Tuples also allows me to do equality operation directly. So what is equality operation? So I can compare two tuples if they are equal or not. So now let's see, for example, I have a coordinates for something. So var, and let's say coordinate 1, and I want to give it the coordinate of, for example, x of 1 and y equal so let's give it x equal 1, yes, 1, and y equal 1 as well. And this is the first coordinate. Now let's create another coordinate. So coordinate 2, I want to give it, for example, x2, and let's give it a y2, just for the sake of this. Now what I can do, actually, I can compare these two together. So var, I'm gonna say is equal, and this equal coordinate 1 equal coordinate 2, and then I'm just gonna display the result. So console dot write line, and from here I'm gonna say is coordinate 1 equal coordinate 2, and then here we can put the result is equal, and this should give us false because they're not equal. So now let's run it and see if they're actually gonna give us false or not. So .NET run, and we can see that we got a false because they're not equal. But if I change the coordinate 2 to 1, and I click on save, and then I run it again, I can see that we got it true. So these are more the simple information or simple tasks that I can utilize tuple for, to do equality operators to make sure that these tuples and this data structure are actually matching. Great. So this will cover our tuples for today. So the next topic that we're going to be covering is value equality for a class. So we're going to be starting by adding the iEquitable interface to our bus class, and we're going to utilize this class in order to do the value equality matching. So first thing for the bus class is we're going to be adding the iEquitable interface, and then we're going to give it the bus class. Perfect. Once we have done that, it's going to give us a squiggly line because we have not implemented this interface yet, but we're going to get to it. Once we have implemented that, the next step for us is we're going to be adding a private set. So instead of normal sets, we're going to add a private set, and that means that we can only initialize this from within the constructor for now. What we can also do is we can utilize the init setters only, which is a feature which has got introduced with C#9, and we can cover those points later on. If you want to know more about init setters, I have a video going in depth of the new feature in C#9, which I'm going to be linked here on the upper right hand side. So once we have done that, the next step for us is to actually create the constructor. So let's create the constructor for the bus. So public bus, and for this we're gonna take two value, both of them are string. It's gonna be name, and string is gonna be color. And let us comment these lines here because they're gonna cause us an issue. Great. So once we have done this here, now let's actually add some conditioning. So for example, I want the name of the bus not to be empty, so what I can do is if string dot is null or empty for name, what I can do is I can throw an exception. So I'm adding a bit of conditioning. So throw new argument exception, and we can say bus must have a name. Perfect. So if it's not null or empty, what I can do is I can just initialize those variables. So what I can do is I can put name equal name and color equal color. Great. Once we have this initial initialization, the next step is I want to override the equal method that it's automatically provided for me by the equitable interface. So how can I do that? I can put public override, because I'm overriding the method from the interface, bool, because it returns a boolean, and then as you can see it automatically detected this for me. So here it actually did the autocomplete, but I don't want it this way. What I want to do, I want to use an arrow method. So put it like this and put this dot equal object as bus. So basically here we are matching this object as if it's a bus. So actually we're casting this object as a bus and we're doing those matching. So once we have done that, now we need to do the other one. So public bool equal, as you can see it has automatically populated for it, which I don't want that. So equals, and then here I'm gonna do is bus as b, and then from here I want to do the comparison and add some conditioning. So if b is null, I want to return false, and if not false, actually what I want to do right now is I want to check the object reference if they are equal. So what I can do is if object dot reference equal this with p. So basically I'm doing the reference equal for this object between this object and the one that b is coming from. And once I done that, if it is, I return true because they are equal now. And lastly, I want to check the types. Not lastly, sorry, there's one after that. So now I want to check the type. So if at runtime there's a different types within those objects, I need to like actually throw a false. So if this dot get type is not equal to b dot get type, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna return a false. So just for information, this equal method here, or this equitable interface, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be like an extension method on the actual object. So we're going to actually add it to an object. We're just going to see how we're going to implement it. So for example, the way I do here, this means the object that currently is trying to equal to the other object. And so the syntax is going to be something like this, but don't worry, we're going to go see it in action. So the sample syntax will be, for example, bus1 dot equal bus2, for example, and bus1 here, which is the actual object, refers to that this and this. So this refer to the actual object, which is actually trying to make an equal to a different object, and the bus2 is actually for the b here and the object here. Just wanted to clarify this. If you're asking yourself what is this and what is that, so there's a complete section on this reference in C#. If you'd like me to cover this, please write it in the description down below, but for now I'm assuming you know what this refers to. Great. So after this, the last point we're going to be doing is we're going to be matching the fields together to make sure that they actually match or not. So after we did the type, so we're going to be doing return and here we're gonna do for the name and the brand, I think it's a color, yeah, for the name and the color. So we're gonna put name equal to b.name, and we need to make sure that the color equal b.color. So now we're actually matching the information from within the object that we currently have and the object that we're trying to compare with, and we need to make sure that they are actually equal. Great. So this refers to the first one. I think I have an error here. Let's comment this out because we comment the other one out. Perfect. So after that, now we're gonna actually override the bool operator equal to actually utilize them. This could work, but it's always good to add the equal operator in case we wanna actually match them in a link query or something. So how are we gonna do that? We're gonna make public static bool, and here we're gonna actually utilize the operator keyword. And within the operator keyword, we're telling it that we wanna override this operator, and we're gonna pass the two objects that we're gonna trying to compare, which is basically here, it's gonna be the bus, we call it b1, and bus, it's gonna be b2. And now what we need to do is we can actually fill this information. So the first thing we're going to be doing to check if they are null. So if b1 is null, and if b2 is null, so basically since they are both null, we're going to return a true. Then what we're going to be doing is if one of them is null and the other one is not, we're going to return a false. And then after that, we're going to utilize the equality check that we have done before. So we're going to put return b1 dot equals b2, and this is going to utilize this here in order for us to get the results back. So this is still complaining. The operator requires matching operator also to be defined. So we still need, which I haven't completed yet, we need to add the other operator. So we're gonna do it right now. So public static bool operator not equal, because we have defined the equal. Now we need to define the not equal, and it's gonna utilize also bus b1, bus b2, and for this one here we're gonna also utilize the arrow function, and it's gonna be a very simple one. It's gonna be b1 equal to b2, because we already did all of those conditioning on the equal operator, and that's it. So basically now what we did is we took the normal bus class that we have inherited from the iEquitable interface. We have added those private sets so we can actually do some conditioning on the initialization of the object. Then we have actually filled those properties, and then here what we did, the first thing that we did is we override the equal operation, because that's what is required from the iEquitable interface, and then we implemented it, and then we actually added some conditioning on the equal operation to make sure that b is not null, as well as the references are equal and the types are not equal, and then we actually did the matching of the values together for the name, for color, and then we have override the equal and not equal operations. Perfect. So now let's see this in action. So inside our main method, let's add some examples. So the first thing we're going to be doing is let's create var, let's call this bus a, because we already utilized bus 1 I think, and it's going to be new bus, and we're gonna give this bus, for example, school bus, and we're gonna give it the color yellow. Great. And now we're gonna create another bus. So we're gonna call var bus b equal new bus, and this, for example, for the sake of this example, we're gonna make it exactly the same to see if they are equal or not. So we're gonna make it school bus B is capital, and the color is yellow as well. And then we're gonna create a bus C equal to new bus, and this is gonna be, let's say, public transport, and it's gonna be red. Great. So once we have done that, now we're gonna actually do the matching. So let's utilize console.writeLine to do those. So console.writeLine, and here we're gonna say the first thing is we're gonna see bus A equal to bus B. So what we can do is we can actually utilize string interpolation, and we can utilize the method that we want to utilize. So for example, I want to utilize bus A. I'm gonna utilize the equal signs right now with bus B. And here what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna utilize this. So bus A dot equals bus B. And now because bus A and bus B are the same, if I run them, this should give me that they are equal. Perfect. So as you can see here, bus A is equals to bus B. Perfect. So now let's try to use another method. So console.writeLine, and let's use string interpolation again. And here what I want to do is I want to do bus A equal bus B, and let's see the results of that. I'm gonna say bus A equal bus B, and now let's run that, and we should see also true here. .NET run. Perfect. And now let's do a null comparison. So in order for us to do that, let us create a new bus. So we'll call this bus D var bus D, and this one is equal to null, and we need to make this as a bus. So let's do the comparison with a null. So console.writeLine, and then basically we're just gonna see if it's equal to a null. So here we're gonna do string interpolation, and we're gonna put bus A dot equals, and we're gonna here put bus D, and that's it. And now we're gonna utilize the string interpolation, and we're gonna put bus A dot equals bus D, which is null, and now this should give us a false. Perfect. And the last step is we want to compare bus A with bus C because they have completely different value. So we're gonna use also string interpolation, console.writeLine, and we're gonna put bus A dot equals bus C, and then here we're gonna utilize string interpolation. So bus A dot equals bus C, and this should give us false. Let's run it. Perfect. And the last one is console.writeLine. It's gonna be string interpolation again, and we're gonna put bus A equal to bus C, and this should give us the last result that we want to. So it's gonna be bus A equal to bus C, and this should also give us a false. Now let's run. Perfect. Great. So now we can see we have the result that we wanted, and we have seen how we can actually add the equitable interface directly, and once we have added it, we were able to utilize all of these extension methods, and we can actually compare two objects together without actually going through because before we had implemented this, if we want to compare an object, we had to do, for example, if for example, bus A dot name dot color equal bus B dot color and bus C, bus A dot name equal bus B dot name equal true. So we can see that this is a bit there's a lot of typing, which means that it's more error prone and it's not really as efficient as the other one. So because of that, we can see how the equitable interface makes it very easy for us to actually compare two objects together and actually utilize them in a much more streamlined way. As well, it's gives our implementation like a guarantee of equivalence. So we are actually making sure that the object itself has obeying some certain rules, if it is equal or not, and all of these other conditioning. Great. So within this episode of Code Tips and Tricks, we have covered tuples and we have covered value equality for a class. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any question, please write it down in the description down below, and have a great day.